Here we are in the city of Geel. Geel. And Geel is a well-known city for psychiatry. The legend in Geel is very important. Saint Dymphna, the saint, her father wanted to marry his daughter, and the daughter refused. So the daughter fled away, and she came here in Geel. And her father followed her and found her here in Geel. And then he asked again to marry her. She refused again, and he killed her. He killed the Saint Dymphna. So there is the Folie, psychotic situation from the father, and there is the victim of the psychotic situation. And so it became a legend, and the patients, everybody who was patient came to Geel to heal in the church. And then they built a small house because they made too much rumor in the church, so they were on the side, put on the side to follow the mass. And then, because more and more people came here, because the inhabitants didn't like this people, so they came all to Geel. And then a count, the Merode, he sponsored a monastery with nuns, and the nuns protected the patients. And now in the 19th century they built bigger and bigger, and then behind first the houses of the doctors, then the clinic, and so it became an enormous event. And then the specific thing from Geel is that the patients, and that's a unique model, it's also described by Michel Foucault, the philosopher, that a unique model in the world. That the patients are not in the clinic, they are at home by families, by the normal families. And so they take care of the patients in their house. They were also helped, probably in some cases. There were many farms in this region, so the farms were a very grateful location for the patients, because they could help the cows, they could help and so on, and the potatoes and so on, you see. That was very big. Now it's more industrialized, and even father and mother are working, have functions, so there are less and less patients in Geel now. At my time there were 3,800 patients and 18,000 inhabitants. And today there are still 300 patients in the families. And that's why I did this exhibition with mythos, because the myth is the start for everything. Out of the mythos, we have the family, we have the king, we have the God, we have the idea of God, and so there's the hierarchy in the society, and then after a while everything is in parts, divided in parts. The patients there, the inhabitants there, the king up, and so on, you see. And I try to bring them all together through the middle gate, which is the title of the exhibition, Middle Gate.
Just to already tell you everything. Le peintre le plus sympa. He is joking already before he even takes off, and he makes like a complete, Jan called it a cabinet. All those bits and pieces together with a lot of reference to Marcel Perrault.
blurs the edges between them. It takes away, in a sense, it takes away the differences and emphasizes the similarity.
I came to this exhibition from New York to see it because I'm an artist in the show, but also because I was so interested in the idea of the acceptance of a broad range of human experience in art. And my work is about my relationship with my mother and her death. And the piece here includes her ashes, which apparently are somewhat forbidden to use in Belgium. But no one has given me any trouble, and everyone has been incredibly kind. And I think this show is very unique in that way, that there is a kind of acceptance of such a range of the what people might consider crazy, and the idea of the middle gate that Jan has, where the sane and the crazy must still go through the same door. I think it would be wonderful if this was more common in America. I find, what is accepted, maybe as art is not accepted in life. And here it is extraordinary that there is the acceptance in both. So it's a very special show.
Cette photo de cette fille gothique qui était déguisée en sœur.
Ouais. Et ça, moi, je voulais vraiment le caresser.
Oui. Ouais, c'est exceptionnel. On est surtout venu ici parce que d'abord on a un ami qui est psychiatre et c'est une commune qui a une longue tradition d'accueillir des fous. Ils ont accueilli jusqu'à 3000 fous, je pense, ici. Et ils ont intégré, si je puis dire, ces fous dans la vie quotidienne de la population. Et au fond, ils ont repris un peu ici, le curateur a repris le concept, en mélangeant dans ces musées l'art religieux ou l'art traditionnel qui se trouvait ici, avec des pièces d'art contemporain. Et nous trouvons que cet écho entre la vie quotidienne des gens et la vue d'artistes contemporains est particulièrement approprié. Donc c'est très intéressant. Alors il y a également la qualité des artistes qui ont été choisis par le curateur. Et puis il faut rendre hommage, je pense, au courage de la communauté religieuse qui ici a accepté que l'on mette des pièces d'art absolument iconoclastes dans des édifices religieux qui manifestement n'ont pas été désacralisés.
Dat is van midden 1300. Dat is zo echt romaans, je ziet het stenen. Stenen met het zadel hier tussen, dat is echt romaans. Ja. En dat is dan wel raar, want gewoonlijk als je een kerk hebt met een... Here in the Church of St. Dimpena, everything started for the care for the mentally ill in Geel. And what was very important for them was this, we call it a ciborium. It's a shrine, and inside are the stones, the stones of the coffin of Dimpena. And the mentally ill, they had to crawl on their knees 100, 9, 20 times a day, praying, and when they were doing it, they came in the aura of the saint, and maybe they could be cured. That was one of the 9 things they had to do to be healthy again, or to become healthy again in Geel. And it's a piece of art made by Maria Rosen. She's from Holland. She's always using the glass. That's her favorite, I think. It's a kind of cobblestones. I think you can see it as the terrible way, the very bad road the mentally ill had to take before they maybe could be cured.
Qui a Geel e anche nella mostra fatta da Jan Hoet non siamo in Sudafrica, dove i neri e i bianchi sono separati, cioè i folli e i sani. Questa mostra ci dice chiaramente che non esiste una vera barriera tra questi due mondi, anzi, diciamo, quello che è importante è capire che l'arte, quando va al di là delle regole, trova la sua strada. Questo Jan Hoet è forse l'unico curatore oggi che poteva organizzare una mostra così, perché lui non segue quella che è l'accademia dell'arte contemporanea. Lui interessano essenzialmente artisti, anche outsider, artisti che non sono anche all'interno del sistema, perché lui non gli interessa se l'artista è dentro o fuori del sistema, gli interessa la libertà dell'artista, la sua capacità di andare oltre le regole. E l'arte del Novecento, infatti la mostra parte anche da Paul Klee, da Magritte, sono artisti che sono stati, si sono ribellati all'accademia del loro tempo, sono artisti che hanno voluto andare al di là e essenzialmente questo, cioè sono artisti, io penso che il vero problema sia quello di andare oltre l'umano, oltre la situazione umana definita dalla società borghese, perché in questa mostra è chiaro che le opere d'arte avvicinano l'uomo a territori come possono essere quello della natura, che è poi il fondamento del pensiero poetico, perché il pensiero poetico mette in collegamento il mondo umano e il mondo naturale e fa sentire l'uomo fuori dall'antropocentrismo. Se tu vedi questa mostra hai l'impressione di un'allucinazione, di un delirio da parte degli artisti, ma questo delirio è necessario perché le nostre convenzioni sociali, morali, ci stringono in un mondo che è troppo piccolo, e la follia nasce e l'arte prende vita, la vera arte prende vita quando tu senti la sofferenza di questa oppressione, senti la limitazione delle regole, come dice Jan Hoet. Io penso che sia essenzialmente questo il nucleo della mostra.
Dat is een dokter in linguïstiek, een hele fameuze in Duitsland. En die helpt mee bij Chris Newman. En hij verhuist. Het dysfunctioneert alles. Op die manier. Dat is eigenlijk het ding. De dysfunction. Dysfunctioning everything. Zo absurd. De absurditeit van verhuizen. Die kast, ik vind dat ze niet goed staat, daarom gaan ze nog ingezet. Dus dat is zo eigenlijk iets wat we regelmatig allemaal doen. Zie je? Een schilderijen van een andere plaats. En waarom doe je dat eigenlijk? Hè? En hij zijn nog niet gedurende een hele dag. Kijk.
En dan duivelachtige gestalten, dat is dan het kwade. Ik denk dat daar iets van de mensheid is. Ik ben heel trots dat daar in deze tentoonstelling staat. Dat was misschien niet mooi.
Ja, dat was absoluut mijn volgende vraag. Ja, hoe blij bent u, hoe trots bent u dat u hier op deze tentoonstelling?
Behoorlijk trots moet ik zeggen. Jan Hoet is natuurlijk niet de eerste de beste aan het behouden. Ik heb alle achting voor die man en als hij me dan selecteert met dit werk en ik zit op zo'n prachtige locatie in Geel, dan ben ik heel tevreden en trots tussen alle andere kunstenaars.
U hebt het werk ook zelf hier in Geel gemaakt?
Dat klopt, in kunsthuis Gell.
Hoe belangrijk is kunst voor u?
Heel belangrijk, komt op de eerste plaats eigenlijk in mijn leven. Nou, de liefde misschien ook belangrijk, maar ik heb een enorme passie en liefde voor kunst eigenlijk. Dat beheerst heel mijn leven. Ik ben er al jaren mee bezig, omdat je net in kunst uw eigen werk doet. Mijn gevoelens in kan leggen. Dat zijn enkele van de dingen die ik vind in kunst.
It is reassuring to find that my mind is concentrating on your behind, and your behind is concentrating on my mind. The remains of a flight dinner make me feel thinner. We have nothing left to write about, so we make do with what we've got. This is everything, and that's not a lie. Jesus died upon the cross. In this box a tramp did die. I'm going. Oh, wait, hang on. Put the back of your seat back upright. My eyelids are pulsating my eyes. this is all. The Wiener Schnitzel didn't call. Footsteps are going past and they're going past. This is the last line of the last. I'm going, boys, deeper into this creeper. I'm getting ever deep into this creep. Thank you.
Las dos esculturas que están en la exposición de Middlegate, Geel, fueron seleccionadas por Jan Hoet. Yo creo que seleccionadas especialmente para ese lugar, esa capilla de la iglesia, donde funcionaban en una relación, en un diálogo entre ellas, en un diálogo con los cuadros que estaban alrededor. Unos cuadros barrocos no muy buenos. A mí me gusta la pintura antigua, que no es muy buena. Creo que tiene un punto muy interesante. Las esculturas tenían unos tatuajes muy relacionados con la religión católica, y se relacionaban muy directamente con estos cuadros. Había vírgenes, ángeles, etc. Era muy interesante cómo se relacionaban con los cuadros, porque para estas esculturas utilicé como modelo los tatuajes de las mafias rusas de la Europa del Este, que utilizan mucha iconografía religiosa. Curiosamente, es una iconografía religiosa para mí muy viciada, porque en estos códigos, un código determinado, por ejemplo, de este tipo de mafias es que cuando se tatúan una catedral, el número de cúpulas que tiene esa catedral es el número de asesinatos que ha cometido esa persona. Así que me parecía muy interesante pervertir de esa forma la relación entre esas imágenes, esas imágenes, ese lenguaje codificado, transformarlo en una relación con un lenguaje meramente religioso, dentro, y creo que esto es importante, de una institución psiquiátrica, porque esta exposición estaba situada dentro de una institución psiquiátrica.
I lived here from my birthday until 11 years old, and so there has always been a nostalgic process in my mind to go back to Geel and always to confront myself with the history of Geel. My father was a psychiatrist, and he was also a collector. So I have been educated in the world of psychiatry and art. And the link between psychiatry and art, I saw always. My father also. And it's very strange, because the collection he had was from Black Africa and the Flemish expressionists. So they were also the pioneers of the modern art. And a lot of people didn't understand. So they didn't understand, certainly not Black Africa and the masks and the fetishes and the statues my father bought. Even not the expressionists. But I learned it as a child. So for me it was evident. It was a normal life. The same with the psychiatric patients, because we were with 7 children and 3 patients at home. And I remember when we went to the beach in Ostende, for example, there were not only the children, there were also patients with us to go to Ostende, and so on. And that was one of my most beautiful years here. And also during the war, because a war for a child is also a game, and at the same time very anxiety. So between the anxiety and the thing, between the chaos and the personal freedom that I lived here. So I had the idea to for example, the house of my parents after the Second World War, when we went to Ghent, has been empty and without function. So then, after a while, I said that's pity that this house is totally ephemeral and going more and more bad. And then I asked to the head of the clinic, why don't you use this house as a free atelier, as a free studio for patients? And then they started, and so first I did an exhibition, Yellow, and so the name of the house is also Yellow Art House. And the yellow for me is because Geel is, the meaning behind Geel is yellow, giallo, that's the same, yeah. And yellow is also the color of Van Gogh. That's a very strange link I did, interpretation. And so well, it started, and now it is one of the great exhibitions here in the hall, in the former city hall, and then in the church, in the St. Dimpna church, and then in the monastery, which is now a museum for psychiatric history, and then the house. That's the tour you have to do with the exhibition.
Fantastisch, hè? Ja. Hoe is dat? Oh, super. Zou je dat doen?
Nee, dat is mijn broer. En hier, wacht een keer, hier ben ik ook. Ja.
Fantastisch.
En dat is mijn vader en mijn moeder.
Oh, geweldig.
En mijn vader is een witte kiel, hè?
Ja, dat is dokter.
As I understand, the whole town in I don't remember what year it was, but there was a woman who came here to live, Dipna, whose father his wife died, and then he tried to marry the daughter, and then the daughter refused. She came here, fled to Geel, and he came here to find her, and then he killed her. And then she became this sort of patron saint, and then apparently all of the psychiatric patients from all over Europe started congregating in Geel. And the town has had since the 1300s this model of psychiatry where there's a hospital and people live in the hospital, but then they go and integrate themselves within the town. And so the whole way of thinking, the integration of people with psychiatric issues and the people who live in the town have this connection to one another rather than being separate. And so that's the way, and actually Jan's statement about the title Middlegate for the whole exhibition was that whether you have your full capacity or you have no capacity or you're somewhere in between, everybody walks through the same door, and that's the middle gate. I thought that was pretty amazing. So, yeah, getting a chance to work with the patients who were in this yellow house, this is not art therapy, this is a studio for them to work in, and it's separate, it's part of the hospital, but it's separate in the sense that it's not funded as art therapy, it's funded as a studio for them to work individually on their own work whenever they can. They had told me that a bunch of the patients would be interested in making work together, and I didn't know what we were going to do, whether we were going to make sculptures or make some kind of paintings or what. And I was too polite to say when we drove 40 kilometers to the art supply store that I had actually meant hardware store. And so, because I had originally thought sculptures, but then I got a bunch of materials to work with here, and I thought that I'm going to set to make drawings. And so I started making work up in here in this room, and as I made work, I stopped at a certain point, and in that vein of collaboration, took the drawings downstairs as I got to know some of the patients, gave them drawings to work on. And initially there were quite a few who were interested in working, but I think that as the hoopla of this whole week came and went for them, it was maybe too intimidating. Not that my work was intimidating, but just everything surrounding the exhibition was intimidating to them. I assume, like most people, you have a routine and you don't want to shift from your routine, and their routine was completely destroyed. So fortunately, I got a couple of people who were interested in working, and one person who started working, and he kept putting me off every day. He kept saying, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I said, okay, that's fine, I'm not pushing you. And then I'd come the next day and he'd say, okay, I'm going to do it tomorrow. I said, okay, don't worry about it. So about 3 days ago, he came and I said, how's it going? And he said, as he was working on his drawing, and he goes, I'm very busy, John, you have to leave. So I gave up trying to push him. I didn't want to push him. So as I was painting this drawing outside, spray painting it, because I was going to change it completely, one of the artists here, Danny, came out and he saw me painting, and they had a television crew who was filming for the local TV, I think. And he got all excited and he just sprayed all over the drawing, which I think was sort of the purest form of collaboration that I could have gotten out of anybody, because I didn't want to in any way direct anything they did. I wanted the collaboration to be pure and easy. You know, I didn't want there to be any worries about it or anything that it wouldn't work out. And so that was the one that really worked out. The other drawing that's on the wall that's sort of like a poster, I didn't see the drawing after I gave it to her, and then when it came back, it was done exactly the way it was, and she had worked very hard on it. And originally I had installed the work all on the lower walls, and so, but what happened was, when she brought this drawing in that she had worked on, she told me about how the 60s were a really bad time for her. and the 70s and 80s were a really good time for her. And then 2000 to 2013 were again a really bad time for her, and the whole drawing sort of depicts what her life was like. And she pretty much went over completely the drawing that I had started, which I thought was kind of great too. And I started thinking about how, because she also talked about Frank Zappa and how important his music was for her. And then I started thinking about this being the room that was Jan Hoet's childhood bedroom, and how in a weird way it was almost like I was up here like a teenager working and I wasn't being disturbed and I could do whatever I want. And then somebody brought this poster in, and so originally I had it down here on the wall, but then because it's like an attic, a secret, not a secret attic, but like a teenage bedroom, I put that one up there. And then I started thinking about how intensely he had worked on this drawing, and so quickly and intensely that I wanted to also try and give it that feeling of strength. And so then once that one was up, then this one was up, and I started feeling like it was more like a bedroom or something. I don't know if it totally translates that way, and I think that if it would have been done with work all over the walls on that part of the wall, then it might have been a different read. But I also had anticipated getting 3 or 4 more drawings back from other people who are supposed to work on them, but then I didn't. So installed it the way it is.
Je m'appelle André van de Kruis, je suis de Geel depuis mon enfance et nous avons toujours connu le soin des malades à la maison même. Je me rappelle tout bien, le mieux, ou je me rappelle le mieux, Madame Simon, qui était donc parisienne. Sa fille a marié un Américain qui s'est installé à New York. Sa fille cherchait une possibilité, une solution pour sa maman, qui avait donc vraiment des problèmes mentaux. À vrai dire, c'était une dame difficile. Elle a cherché ici, dans les environs, d'abord une maison qui avait chauffage central, située dans une bonne famille, et à un certain moment, elle avait trouvé la plus belle maison de Gell, qui existe toujours à la rue de la Gare. Elle est encore là. Mais cette dame ne voulait pas de patient. Et on a cherché, et à un certain moment, elle est venue chez ma grand-mère qui était veuve et qui était seule. Donc, elle s'est installée là, mais comme ça c'était impossible, vraiment impossible, elle ne voulait rien. Mon père, un peu plus grand que moi, plus fort, 100 kilos, donc un homme impressionnant, je lui disais, eh bien, on va la prendre chez nous et on verra. Ce que je me rappelle le mieux, c'est encore le matin. Le matin, elle se levait, elle commençait à crier, de bonne heure, hein, à crier. Et elle dit, il fait jour, il faut qu'on se... Mon père Oui, mais on va lui donner une leçon. Et ils commençaient à marcher. Elles faisaient ensemble des kilomètres, dizaines de kilomètres chaque matin. Deuxième jour, même chose. Et on se promenait. Troisième jour, même chose. Une semaine. Il raconte toujours, parce que nous, on était de petits enfants. Je suis le deuxième d'une famille de 7 enfants, de 8 enfants, je me trompe, de 8 enfants. Donc, cette dame s'est accoutumée, donc elle avait sa place à la maison. Et peut-être c'est là que j'ai appris mes premiers mots de français. Donc, elle a vécu chez nous jusqu'en 1947, je crois. Donc, oui. Et alors, elle a eu très malheureusement un accident. Elle est tombée de l'escalier. Elle a eu quelques fractures. Et alors, elle est rentrée ici à la clinique. On a opéré encore, mais elle est décédée.
Fotograferen moet om de namen. Die dürfen wir nicht. Die gehen alle da drunter her. Ik wil nooit in kant. Ik wil er altijd zitten. Jan.
The absence of evocation, the absence of evocation, presence of empty shape, material assumption of one's valuable space, different from the real space, the difference from real space outlining, describing.